Talofa lava, kia ora, and welcome back to Breaking Waves. On today's show, we have a very special guest, someone whose journey I've enjoyed following, a son of Tonga, an artist, musician, youth worker, father, Rizvan Tu'itahi. How are you today?
Good, thank you, Malolele. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you coming and sharing the space and time with us. How has your afternoon been?
It's been good. A little bit of a workout, a little bit of a mentoring session. And yeah, just got a cousin here from Tonga who were up until like 3 playing cards all night last night. So I'm just like trying to get my mind right, trying to realign. But yeah, good. Overall, good.
Yeah.
Really good. Yeah.
What's some of the work that you're currently doing now?
So I work for a trust called Te Karanga, and it's like we're trying to build a creative community. We run programs across the city, free programs in community centres from Central and Mount Roscoe West, out in Zeal and Henderson, Southside, we're OMAC, we have a wahine. The program's called Navigators, and it's like a creative program where we invite locals from the area to come and collaborate, create, and just korero, you know, just come and connect. And yeah, and I help run the program out on the Navigators out on the shore at the moment. So we just started there. That's the newest program. Yeah, so that's pretty much my mahi at the moment, just helping young people. So there's the free programs. We also go and help youngins in alternative education, so the kids that are being kicked out of mainstream. And then we go into youth justice, YJ, help the kids that are locked up through the courts. And it's just mentoring, music, you know, just helping them create, just showing them a bit of songwriting and yeah, how to create music.
That's really awesome. What I find cool is how you've been able to link your artistry, your you know, creating music with the youth work that you're doing now, which is pretty wholesome. I want to get into your youth work later, but I also want to touch on your music. You've you know, done some work with some amazing people, Switted, Homebrew. These were kind of artists I listened to in high school when I was growing up. And I just wanted to know, you know, in your journey as a creator, what's been your favorite parts to it?
I think for me is pretty much what I was just talking about before, is just being able to translate those skills, that skill set of music creation and that I guess talent into work, you know, trying to like, I wasn't intentionally trying to monetize or capitalize on it, but it was just like, when you're able to do what you love and get paid for it, it's like the biggest win, you know. So that's probably my biggest accomplishment as a musician, is being able to transition into an artist into work, into a field that requires, you know, me doing what I love to do, which is create music and even just helping young people. So I've enjoyed that, the mentoring, and even just making connections with other artists, especially Pacifica artists who have been on the journey, hearing their stories. And yeah, I think that's what fuels the creativity and the content, is making those connections and meeting other people. I love that, and it's still happening. I'm still going, I'm still learning.
Right, and I'm sure along with that success, there's been a lot of hardship that you've been through. So, and what's the hip hop scene like in New Zealand? Were there challenges that you kind of like had to endure on your own that grew you into the character that you are today?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges for me is just resilience. Like, especially in today's generation, everything's instantaneous. Like, you just want it now. Like, you want it immediately. Like, it's everything's at the touch of your fingertips. You just put it on Google and you get it straight away. Back in the days, you used to get to go library, like research something if you want to know something, or you have to go to someone's house or someone's office or make the effort to get it, and you earn these things. The wins that you get, you really like had to put in a lot of work. So I think the challenges for me has just been hanging in there, like just being able to stay there and be a journeyman and through this path. I think in terms of the hip hop scene in New Zealand, Aotearoa has just been killing it. Everyone's just thriving. It's a new wave of independence where you don't need a label anymore. You can just be in your garage, create, and then put it out there, release it, make your own content, create your own merch, and then just sell it yourself instead of using these channels who kind of take advantage.
Right, because when I was growing up, you know, I always had the thought, I'm only going to make it if I'm signed to a label.
Yeah.
So now we have all these channels. But what I've also been noticing is a lot of maybe imposter syndrome, you know, the idea of you love music, but should I make it? What if no one likes my stuff if I post it out?
Yeah.
Like, if I make something, will it get enough likes? Validating your music through the socials.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Like, I know a lot of people who are stuck in that, but they're very talented.
Yeah.
Like, they can shred on the guitar, but they're just too afraid to put it out there because they validate their music by how people like them or consume it. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I think that is a massive challenge for a lot of people, and I think with music, a lot of the creative process is done privately. Like you're in your bedroom or you're in your lounge or in the basement writing these things, these thoughts, these emotions, and expressing them to yourself. And then all of a sudden you put it on a platform and it's so public and you feel so exposed and you're being vulnerable.
Yes.
And people are like, you know, you're exposed to everyone and everyone gets to judge it or scrutinize it or even just see it. Like, even your own family might not even know some of these things you're sharing, but you're just putting it out there because this is your outlet. This might be the only medium that you find is you're able to articulate, you know, what you're going through. And so I think for a lot of creatives, some of them are just super introverted, you know, but in an industry that's so public and exposed, you kind of have to become an extrovert in terms of promoting yourself, you know, what you do. This is my new song. It's about my latest breakup or whatever, you know. And it's hard, but I mean, it's something that you have to go through, and it comes with maturity and age. You go through that, and a lot of the young people who are going through it, it's hard to put yourself out there because you don't feel worthy of attention, worthy of love, worthy of respect, or even just like compliments, you know, or people going, man, that's bad, like I love that. It's like, oh, yo, you know, like you can't even look them in the eye. You're just so used to like, oh shucks. But it's like, as you go with age and you mature, you realize you just have to say thank you. Like, oh, sure, bro, appreciate it. And it's not that bad. But I think we've come from a culture of humility, but it's to a fault where you're not able to embrace, you know, these compliments and these even just positive, these comments, like people are just like, bro, I like your rap on that verse. Because I went through that, you know, I think a lot of us do. Or like, even, it doesn't have to be music. It could be like, bro, that was a mean game, bro. Bro, that break when you ran that ball, woo, and it's, oh yeah, shout out to the, you know, like, it's like, bro, own it, man. Like you did the hard work. You went to the trainings with music. You stayed in it for this long. You researched. You listened to everything, watching all the music videos, watching all the interviews. You've done your time. Like you paid your dues. And this is like prize giving when you go and receive your award. It's just like, bro, you did that, you know. And I think it's just accepting, embracing, and owning that you deserve. You know? Yeah. And
I like the way you put that when you say artists are quite introverted and they're putting most of their vulnerabilities into their music. Then putting that out there for the world to judge is always a scary thing. So it requires a period of emotional maturity, I guess, And it's such a hard balance having to be good at business, good at sales, and then at the same time having to be a good creative and putting out something that people would like. But also, like, you don't have to kind of like monetize everything. Like if you like to make music, like what are your thoughts on that? If you just like to create art?
I've always told people, like, I'll be making music whether people are listening or not. Like, it doesn't matter to me. And I think and I'm still working on it. Sometimes I catch myself out where I'm trying to cater to an audience, like, oh man, that's what's going on at the moment, maybe I should try that. And it's all good to experiment, but I think when you compromise your art and what you believe in to cater to somebody else or to fit the mold, it's like, nah, it's not, it's, you know, bring it back to your essence, bring it back to your core. What do you like? What makes you happy? And I think a great producer by the name of Rick Rubin, he used to work for like Beastie Boys and all these artists, Johnny Cash, and he said that, bro, whatever you do, as long as you keep it true to yourself, people will come. The right people will come, you know. It's better that you have like 3 true believers than like 1,000 who are just there through, I don't know, because people can pay for views, people can pay for likes, you know. Like in the long run, it's better if you just build it organically and build a good following and audience and connect with them, because whatever you go through, someone else is going through it too, and someone will connect at some point. But there's like this analogy that we use in our spaces called it's not called anything, but it's like we see life as like it's always a climb, like the maunga, like the mountain. Every day, every week, every month, we're trying to get to the top of the queue, top of the class, top of the chain, the food chain. And it's like it's always that constant climb. And I think when you check in with people, sometimes people are at the bottom and you'll be at the top, and sometimes you'll be at the bottom and someone else will be at the top at different times. So we're always at different stages. So you just got to respect where everybody is at and just carry on with your marathon, with your journey, and stay true to it. Because I think when you start, swaying from that path, you lose the essence of it.
Yeah, and just diving a bit into that, because I'm sure these people who are, want to make music and put it out there, they have their own creative process. What's your, I'm sorry if this is a bit of a personal question, but what's your creative process like?
For me, there's a lot of times where I'm just jotting notes on my phone. Like if you look at my notepad on my phone, it's just got all like random lines, random quotes, and random song concepts. And for me, it's always trying to tap into like something that I'm going through. And either I find a beat or I hear a beat that relates to what I'm going through, whether it's like family, or I just had a recent trip to Tonga and I kind of wanted to talk about that in a song. So when I hear the music, and it kind of provokes those emotions or like evokes those emotions, I tap into that. So I'll find the beat, figure out what I want to say on it, and then I'll start writing. And usually it's just random thoughts or random melodies or random flows in my head. And then I start putting words to it, or, because I have a list of like random words that I just put down that I want to put into a song and incorporate. So I think that's it. It's the music plays a massive part of it, because that's where the emotion comes from. Because I could say anything, but it's finding the beat, and then I'll start writing to it, and then record. And I do it all myself, just at home. Got a microphone, got a computer, and it kind of goes back to what you were saying about the labels and the climate now where everything's independent. You just got to learn how to do it.
Exactly.
You cannot get left behind if you don't learn how to use the program on the laptop.
Exactly.
If you don't know how to record yourself, it's like you got to pay for those studios. Someone to mix and master it.
Yeah, and that's very costly, right?
Yeah.
So like having and we got YouTube now. Like there's literally tutorials on how to use, your different types of what's it called? Audio workstations.
Yep, the workstations, the apps.
So it's really about just putting an effort to try and pick up different things, and never think just because you sing only. Yeah. Do you reckon?
Yeah, it keeps people like, bro, do you think I should go to these schools or these institutes to learn, get a diploma in sound engineering or audio engineering? I'm like, you could, bro, but like you probably just get a student loan. But most of the content or like the learning is all on YouTube. Like you just need to check it, search it up and put that time in, and you'll figure it out. There's tutorials all over the place. For sure. And it's just that. I think it's just having that ambition and drive to like learn, like the initiative to just go and figure it out for yourself. And I think there's a balance, because some creatives are known to just be like, all about the creativity and not really about the technicality of it. Right. But you got to find the balance. Yes. Creativity, technicality, and then the financial business side of it. I mean, you just got to wear all three hats. And then find a balance in between. Maybe you'll be lucky enough to have a team behind you that can help you with, there's three aspects, but ultimately it's up to you, to push that. But I think at the end of the day, as long as you're enjoying it, just do it. Yeah. Just keep doing it.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing to take on board. I have another question.
Yeah.
Who are your 3 favorite inspirations when it comes to creating music? That's a hard one. I know it's always a hard one because I'm sure you have a lot, but if you were to choose 3.
I think for me, one of them is a rapper named Nas. Yeah. Nas is a New York Black American rapper, and for me it's just, he's my favorite because the stories that he tells, the way that the combination of words, how he articulates what he sees visually, so that's massive.
He's a very good storyteller.
Yeah, he is. Second, I'd have to say another rapper from the West Coast, from California. His name's Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah.
Nipsey, for me, it's a little bit about his music, but more about his drive and his like entrepreneurship, just the way he carried himself in his community, the way that he shared wisdom. Even though he was a street dude, he was like a hard out crip. He's like deep in the streets, but the way that he expressed himself, or even just he was eloquent, like, but in the street still, you know. So I really admired that, just seeing how he moved, how he carried himself. And lastly, holy, I like to, I'll probably say Sade. Sade is an artist that's, you know, she's British Ethiopian, I think.
Yeah.
But her music is so beautiful. But I think the one thing about her is that there's a lot of mystique about her. Like, no one knows too much about her. She doesn't do too many interviews, and I feel like that's missing from the industry. Like, everyone's just, look at me. Oh, everything's, you're being vlogged, and like you're showing, like, today I was at the cafe and I'm at the gym now. And like, you see everybody's everything, and it's just like, what's left for the imagination in terms of like creativity and like, because when you know everything, you just kind of like tap out, you know. It's just, it's overwhelming. Like, I kind of want some, oh, I wonder how old she is, or I wonder where she records her music. I wonder how she writes, because you don't see anything about her creating. Like, and for me, that's something that's hard to do these days, because everyone wants to know everything. But that's something that I feel is missing from music, and even just with social media. It's crazy, because the way that we, I don't know, just share everything, it's normalized. But with her, not only is her music beautiful, she's just kind of like got this mystique about her that I'm like, I just want to know more. I want to see more. I want to find out. I want to see some interviews or something. But it draws, it kind of just captivates me, and it's intriguing.
Yeah, and leaving some sort of curiosity, eh?
Yeah.
And that's true. And it's hard to find artists like that where everything is, you know, put online. But this is what we were talking about before, like using it, and then also at the same time trying to keep some sort of privacy with your art as well. So there's different ways of working. There's not, like, what I'm trying to say is there's not one right way to hit the industry or try and make your game go up, but there's we've seen it, how different people have explored it as well. With that, I love Nipsey Hussle as well, and I love Nas. Nipsey Hussle, I actually don't listen to his music much. But the dude is like so inspirational with his mindset to the hood. The work he was doing in health, like holistic health and healing, was amazing. And I'm sad that he went very young. I feel like he could have made a much bigger impact. And one of the reasons I'm drawn to Nipsey Hussle is because of his belief in economic development and how that's the best way out of poverty. And to see people you can relate to and have those conversations in a way that people who are, you know, a lot of people are raised in poverty or raised in that side of the hood, that he could explain it properly is awesome.
I think that's what it is. It's the relativity. Like, it's the way that the information is being presented. Like, you could get someone in a suit and come through and like try to share this information and be technical and use jargon that's unfamiliar to our people or a certain community. Or you could have someone like Nipsey Hussle, who's in the community, knows how to talk that talk, or talk in a way that it's understandable, you know, it's digestible for that audience, or that, you know. So I feel like that's what he did, because there's an interview of him when he's like, I don't know, he's super young, and the interview was talking about what his beliefs in and the industry or something, and he talks about, man, we gotta invest in property. And the interview was like thrown up, like, what did you just say? He goes, man, you gotta invest in property, because it's, you know, when all of our people are invested in cars and buying cars and chains, and where the value of that depreciates, but with property and land, it appreciates, it goes up. And it's like, damn, this dude's like a youngin' from the street, you know, like a hardcore crip, but his mind, like you said, his mindset is somewhere else. And I think that's a testament to his dad, because he said that, or his parents, because he was saying that he was encouraged to read, and so his dad took him to Eritrea, where he's from. So his mum's African American, and his dad's from Eritrea, which is in Africa. So he was taken when he was like 18, 19 for like, I don't know how long, 9 months or something. But he said that exposure to the country, to his homeland, just gave him a new insight, because travel does that. Like, it opens your mind and expands your horizon. So I feel like that just instilled something new in him. And when he came back to the hood, his mind had changed. He had grown past the hood. Like, if that's all you know is that little box, like, you can never see past it, and you only know what you know,
Yeah.
So once someone takes you out of that box, you just see a lot more. You see the bigger picture, and you expand. So I feel like that's what happened with him. And similar to Nas, if you look at Nas's story, his dad had a library of books where he was encouraged to read, about political figures or leaders in the world leaders. And you can see it in his music. Some of the words that he uses, the terminology that the hood don't use, similar to Nipsey Hussle. And I think it's just, there's a important thing about exposure to young minds, like helping to expand, and not just through books, but through experiences. Right, take them out of Auckland, like, take them down to Taupo and like have a look at the lake and like see something new. Because I had cousins that stayed on one side of Auckland that had never been over the Harbour Bridge, and when they came to the shore where I stayed, they were like, this is Australia. Like, this looks like nothing where I'm from. And I think it's a testament to just being able to be open-minded and having new experiences. And I think Nipsey and Nas, represent that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I was reading, I am currently reading a book that expresses the importance of constantly putting yourself in contrast. So you have to move, or else you just won't be exposed to factors that could improve you to where your normal environment. So it's cool to see that Nipsey went and then he came back, because he saw, oh my gosh, it's a lot worse there. And seeing that, and now he could come and do improvements in the hood. And also going back to what you were saying about the cars thing, like, that's such a hood, universal hood thing is. Like, we buy cars that park up at like really busted down houses. And I'm not talking smack, because I grew up in Mangele, and I would see the flashes, Mercedes, BMW, Benz, but they would be going to like work and income homes, like homes that are supported by governance. And in my mind, I'm just like, how can we afford these $80,000 cars, but we're still on the dole? And
I think just the culture that we're in, like, that mindset, because we're kind of stuck in that pay bracket,
right?
And that certain pay bracket, the highest we can go is a car. That's probably the biggest flasher thing we can afford. And even though we'll be in super debt, we can get a car. House, that's out of our, we don't even consider a house. That's like something else. But people who live in houses, or who are able to buy houses or buy multiple houses, they're not worried about the cars anymore. They're past that. They're in a different pay bracket. And then the business people who multi-millionaires or billionaires, they're not even worried about anything else within these smaller boxes, like cars, jewelry, fashion. They're way past that. They're into like buying businesses, investing in other things. So we're still in this cycle, and we've been in it for a long time. Like, we're just going round and round. There's like incremental shifts within these boxes. But ultimately, we're still stuck in that. And it might not even be a financial thing. It's a mind state thing. Some of our people are making good money, but they don't know how to invest, or they don't know how to save, and they're not financially literate. So the way that we operate is, I don't know, it's almost detrimental. And we're just stuck in the cycle, because, I don't know, there's communities that have these other commitments that the business people, like, let's just say, like, in Palangi culture or Asian culture, they don't have these other commitments like church and like whalawalas, and like when you have a putu or funeral in Tonga, and like, bro, money,
we come together,
everything comes, it's communal, and so we all pitch in. So I think it's finding a balance between the two, where sometimes, like we were saying earlier off air, or it's like bringing it back to yourself, and like, what is my capacity to be able to pitch in? Like, am I able to give $5 or 100? But at the same time, you're going to be scrutinized if you only put 20, because you know that everyone's going to be judging you, and it's like, oh, we might only have 200 this week, but let's give 150 and just struggle. And people just going through those cycles again. It's like, it's hard to break that chain without a new perspective. So I don't know. We're still growing. We're still developing. We're still a young people, like Pasifika people going through this westernized system. But I think with these conversations, having these talanoas and korero about growth, and especially personal and financial, and normalizing that, especially with young people, and us role modeling that. It's all good to talk about finances.
Absolutely.
It's not funny to talk about businesses and owning and managerial positions or being entrepreneurs. Let's just keep that going and keep growing like Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah. And I think our Pacific cultural practices are beautiful, like the intention behind them to come around to give back to a family who have faced a loss or who is entering into a new journey. It's just those ugly attitudes that you're talking about when it gets judgmental, but that's not culture. So it's sad that a lot of the younger generation have to identify those ugly attitudes with our culture, and they have a hard time differentiating it. But I don't blame them, because they go to work and then they have to come, and then being in a Western society where they see their friends getting cars and saving money going on holidays, but they're like, and then they have to sit down and be like, oh no, I had to give my money to my parents for this reason. So I feel like there does need to be a bit of work in making our youth understand that concept is actually a beautiful concept. Instead of having to, well, we still get out loans nowadays anyways for funerals and stuff. So it's a bit of maybe working on our financial confidence as a people, and also still applying our Pacific cultures, because I think they're very giving and loving, and they're hard to find. And trying to find some sort of solution in the middle.
I think even just hearing you talk about that and hearing myself talk, I think there's sometimes we kind of beat ourselves up about it, because we're being stuck in this. We've had this handicap and we've been struggling, but at the same time, if we look at the brighter side of things, in our cultural values and our family units and the way that we operate in terms of like pitching in and contributing to the community. I know a lot of my Asian friends have looked at my family and been like, man, it's so cool how you guys always like get together. There's a lot of you, and like there's a difference. Like that's the silver lining of us. We might be struggling financially, but socially or family wise or spiritually, we're rich.
We're good.
We're good. Like,
my favorite memories are with my family and my cousins growing up in houses that most people wouldn't live in. So I definitely get you when it comes to spiritual family connection as well.
I think I guess it's just at the end of the day, when you bring it back to yourself, it's like, are you happy here, or are you being complacent? Like, do I need to grow from this, or am I actually truly happy in this? I say this because the block of units that I live at, the people that have been living in my flat, some of them have been moving out and like upgrading to, we're moving to a new place just down the road and it's a new apartment. It costs a lot more. And I was just like, damn, I need to get a new apartment. Like, just get caught up in their, their whole, the energy of that. But I'm like, I had to check myself. I'm like, no, I'm actually happy here. Like, I'm okay. I don't need to buy a flash car or a new apartment. Like, I'm actually happy with this, and my kids are happy here, So I just had to remind myself what my values are and what am I about. And I'm about this. I'm about the time spent with the kids. And even though the house is not the flashes, but you can feel the spirit of the home. Like, it's cozy and we feel good being here. And I think that's the important thing. Like, in terms of like buying cars and jewelry and that, I think we get caught up in that because it's an insecurity almost. Because to
prove ourselves because of the attitudes that we see, those ugly attitudes we talked about.
And it's just the way I guess if you can't have a flash house, the way you present yourself in public or in front of or your friends or your peers and colleagues, to be nice and dressed and flashed up, but at the end of the day, like, you bring it back to home, and it's, you got to work on those things about insecurity and how you present yourself, because once you get past that, it's like, bro, you don't need to fake, like, put up a front or a facade that you're rich or you're balling or, you got all this bling on. It's like, what do you really value? Like, what's important to you? Bring it back to that core and that essence, and reminding yourself, where am I headed? And you were talking about like migrants or immigrants and like their whole, my cousins are always reminding like in our cousin group, they're like, don't forget why our grandparents came here. Like, don't forget the sacrifices, don't forget the intentions of why we came here. It was education, better life, we're trying to move forward. And they get caught up in this, some of the cousins are caught up in the gangs, and we were talking about it before, and just the streets, and just they kind of get lost. And sometimes it's because of the family structure, and sometimes it's just other influences outside. and yeah, just have to draw them back in, and in a safe way and in a loving way.
And I think there's been a lot of discourse, like, because we've always been, you know, the hood has been tainted by mainstream media, you know, these balangi big corporations who always paint us to be criminals, ram raiders, you know, we're brown faced big boys, affiliated with crime, money laundering, drug dealing, whatever it is. And because of that, the hood have always come forward to defend themselves and say it's not always like that. And I get that, but at the same time, if you're raised in the hood and you've seen some stuff, it's also very scary. So I'm always mentally battling with myself, like how to have an outlook on this, because I've seen things, you know, not with my own family, but around areas I've grown up with, like people get shot and those kind of things down in our area in Mangere, near Mangere College. And it's like, it was scary. We're not what they say in mainstream media, but at the same time, yes, we are good people. So it's such a complex thing to think about. And then we have all these arguments like, should we support gangs? Well, they help families, you know, they give them money when it's needed. Should we not help gangs? Do we support money that's not? It's such a complex thing to think about.
I think there was an interview of Tupac, and he was talking about how people are just putting a blanket or painting this whole community with the same brush, that we're all criminals or they're all ram raiders. But it's like, bro, you can't be, we have to live next to the murderers. Like, we have to live with these ram raiders in our communities. But I think that so I work in youth justice with the young people that are in there. Some of them are doing 10 years. They're like 14 years old and they're doing like life, or there's other kids who are in there just for months. But when you look at the stats, or even just their situation with their family and what they've come from, and you look at like they're in here for time, like the court has put them in youth justice, and it's like, oh, so when I help them create songs or write songs, it's like, maybe we should write a song and dedicate it to a loved one out there, you know, like shout outs to whoever has your back when you're on the outs, and you're like, oh, okay, what about your mom or your dad? And you're like, bro, my dad and my parents are across the road at the adult prison, you know. And I was like, oh damn. Because my granddad being in prison, my mom's been it's
kind of normalized for them.
Normalized for them, and they've been brought up in it. And when I even like, and the youth justice that I'm at is like a 46-bed or residency, and maybe like 40 of it is Maori, like of the kids that are in there. And when you look at the numbers, and then you look at the history, and then you trace it back. This is like a generational trauma that traces all the way back to the treaty. Like, you know,
history is so bad.
And I think people start judging, and then they don't look at the history and the pathway that has brought them here, and realize, bro, there's people here that have been struggling for a long time.
Absolutely.
And these kids are just I don't know, they're just a product of that history, of that trauma.
Did you hear about the Royal Commission inquiry into state care?
Yeah.
Man, like this is probably their parents or their aunties and uncles. And imagine going into a state care home thinking you're going to be looked after by the government, just to be bullied by the workers or be abused by the workers sexually, mentally, in every way. And then now we have the children of these people.
Come from that. Generations later, they're still affected by that, you know, and some of those behaviors and the parenting and just the family culture is normalized, and this is what they're doing now. And so to them, they're just like, this is all we know, you know. And I think it's hard because no one takes the time to really talk to these people, or these young people, or even the parents or the grandparents, and see like, oh damn, they really need some help. They really need our support. And with the young people, I feel like it's kind of confusing, but as helpers or as a community, we need to wrap around. Like, we really need to come around and figure out what's the best way, and be empathetic to the history. Like, this is trauma that's just trickling down generations. And
I was just going to ask you that. You know, because of your wealth of experience in youth work, and also, you know, helping youth to translate and express themselves through music. What do you think should be a main area of focus to support support youth who are at risk?
Identity. I think like that's the it's trying to figure out who you are, you know, and part of that trauma and is making them realize that, because some of them are so oblivious to that. It's like, bro, you look at your history and your family, your parents, your grandparents, look back at the history of your people and see where you have come from, and it's not all you, like it's not all your fault, you know, like this is just being part of your journey. I think identity for me is like, when I talk about youth justice, I know a lot of the kids there are Māori, but there's a couple of Samoans that pop in, maybe a couple of Tongans that pop in every now and then, and they've lost their family. Like, we've been lucky as Pasifika to have communities within our community, like church or maybe like sports, where you have a kind of support group and people that you can connect with who are like-minded. But with some of these kids, they got none of that. All they have is the street. Like they didn't go to church. Grandparents never went to church. They didn't have that support. So I think it's like trying to find out, bro, where you from? Where's your marae? You know, like where did you come from? Or one of the Tongans will come and think, Toko, where's your family from in Tonga?
Right.
I don't know. It's like, oh, what's your dad's last name? And then they'll say it, and then they'll be like, oh, you must be from this village. Oh, no, yeah, I heard that. But it empowers you when you know where you stand, or when what anchors you back to wherever. Like, if you don't have an anchor that takes you back to your origins, you're just floating.
Yeah.
Like, you're just a balloon with no string. Like, you're just floating around. But if you have that string to bring you back down to earth and ground you, that's a massive thing.
Yeah, because it gives you some sort of purpose, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know where you've come from, what they have fought hard,
Yeah.
and then it takes it back to you.
Yeah.
And then once you're in that position, you have one thing left, which is a choice.
Yeah.
A choice to be better or, other choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like when you were saying before about the sacrifices our grandparents have made, if you didn't even know that, if you don't know those sacrifices, grandparents, great grandparents, parents, you don't value that.
Yes.
You know, so you're just like, bro, whatever, man. Like you're just kind of like, you're kind of lost. So I think it's trying to trace that back, trying to ground yourself, trying to find that anchor to bring you back down, and it empowers you. When you took that quote about standing on the shoulders of giants, if you're standing on just air, like you don't feel like that mana that has come behind you, you know, like there's been generations putting in work, putting in love, putting in dedication, and trying to grow and develop and be better as a people, as a family. And when you look back and you're like, damn, this is what I come from, you know, like there's mana and you feel empowered. But if you look back and there's nothing there, just jail.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of run out of options, and all you see is you're influenced by your surroundings. And if you're in the hood, the next best thing is like some patch member that's gonna give you some money, or you're gonna
give
be
you
like,
purpose.
Yeah, give you purpose.
That's
like,
the worst.
I wanna be like that.
Yeah,
you know, he looks like he's got some money. He's empowered. He's confident. Like I want that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a hard thing to digest. It's a hard thing to solve. But I think we just need to keep looking at the problems and figuring out, you know, how do we approach this with love? Like, because with the young people, it's the next generation is going to be able to change it.
Absolutely. And everyone kind of just strides and does their work that they need to do for the next generation to continue on. Thank you so much for sharing that for us. I have one more question for you. What would be your word of advice for anyone who may be watching this, who is going through a hard time, and whether it be finding their identity or solidifying their place and where they fit in? What would your advice be to them?
I think the advice that I've been telling myself, or that's been able to help me, is that you just got to hang in there. I feel like in life, there's many tunnels. When they say that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, some of these tunnels are long. Some of these tunnels are long and dark, but there's always a light at the end. Things always work out. I'm a strong believer in God, and I believe that God always has a plan, and everything happens for a reason. I got an album that I'm dropping at the end, probably middle of the year. Awesome. And the title is called Everything Happens for a Reason. And I believe in that quote to my heart, you know, like you might look back, you might be going through some things. You might be like, oh man, why did I miss that flight? Or damn, why am I not with her anymore? Or how come I'm not making this amount of money, or whatever. Everything that happens in life, in hindsight and retrospect, at some point you're going to look back and understand why it happened. But in the moment, it's hard to see it because you're just caught up in it, you know, the emotions. But when you look back at life, you'll realize most of it's a blessing in disguise. because everything happens for a reason. You might not understand it, but when you look back, you'll go, okay. And I think just appreciate where you're at the moment, you know, celebrate those small wins. Ultimately, do what brings you happiness. Do what makes you happy, and yeah, just bring that mirror back to yourself and really face yourself and go, am I happy here? What do I need to do to be happy? Yeah, that might be a bit.
Nah, that's all good. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I look forward to your album that you'll be releasing mid-year this year.
Yeah, mid-year.
That's awesome. I can't wait for that. But thank you so much, Rizvan, for your time.
Thank you for
Thank you for sharing your insight in the music industry and also as a youth worker. We really appreciate it. And we will attach all of his links to his socials and also his music that you can find online to this video. So like, subscribe, and all that stuff. Break your waves.
Hello.